All right, you guys, welcome to week 15 of our Praying Through the Names of the Bible Bible study lesson. And this week is The Lord is My Shepherd, Yahweh Rohi. Now, in the book, it's pronounced Yahweh Rohi. In Strong's, when I looked up shepherd, it said Yahweh Ra'ah. So I'm not sure which one it is, but the Lord is my shepherd. Um, She gives some really good questions in this week's study. And so I plan to go over those. When we get to that part, it's going to require you guys to kind of be still, close your eyes, and imagine before answering. So I kind of wanted to let everybody know up front because I know sometimes we're driving, we're cooking, we're doing all the things. So just you have a couple minutes before we get to that point. But I think there's something to actually being still and imagining like the prompts that she'll take us through. So the opening explains or reminds us that for at least part of their history, the Hebrews were a nomadic people. They wandered from place to place, seeking pasture for their herds of sheep, goats, and cattle. To sustain their livelihood, it was vital for shepherds to keep their animals from straying, to protect them from thieves, wild animals, and to provide them with plentiful pastures. In the ancient in the ancient Near East and in Israel, the shepherd eventually became a metaphor for kings. And the Hebrew scriptures speak of God as a shepherd to his people, and also currently applies the shepherd imagery to our current religious leaders as well. I know I hear that a lot in churches, like this is the shepherd of our church and everything. So the key scripture, of course, is the 23rd Psalms, which we all know really well, right? I love the version that she puts things in. I'm not sure. Jasmine, do you know what version she puts in here? I tried to look it up, but I couldn't figure it out. Maybe she'll answer when she has a chance
It's
to say
always
it.
hard to come off mute when you're on your phone. I don't know, but what I would do is I would look up multiple versions. What she does, and what I found is that she sometimes just changes the word that's in there to be what it is for the week. So I'm not sure. But sometimes, yeah, you got to go digging because it may be a version that you ain't never heard of or used, and I have to go on the Bible app and find it. So,
Yeah. So we're all pretty familiar with the 23rd Psalms. The version that she put it listed says, Yahweh is my Rohi. I am never in need. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside peaceful waters. He renews my soul. He guides me along the paths of righteousness for the sake of his name. Even though I walk through the dark valley of death, because you are with me, I fear no harm. Your rod and your staff give me courage. You prepare a banquet for me while my enemies watch. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. So certainly goodness and mercy stay close to me in all the days of my life, and I will remain in Yahweh's house for days without end. Um, Again, we all know the passage. I like the way that she changed certain words in it because it just really made sense. So, one of her first questions or one of her first prompts was to focus on just the first three sentences and close your eyes and imagine that you're the sheep, right? So, if you guys are able to sit with your eyes closed, reflect and think about how you would feel as the sheep, and then somebody can share. So the passage is, I am never in need. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside peaceful waters. So as the sheep, what do you see? And that's for anybody to answer.
I feel protection. I feel safety. I feel peace, and it makes me feel as if I have nothing to need for. The Lord is my shepherd. That's everything. Although I'm just there. I'm just a sheep, and I know I have a protect. I have full protection.
Prentice said, it makes me feel like I'm covered and God has me.
Contentment. I just have one word. That's it.
I feel like it's a freedom, honestly, because you think about even children who you don't think about how much your parents take care of you and you have like no responsibilities. And I think that that's the same thing that sheep do under a shepherd. Is you don't have to fear for anything. You don't have to worry about anything because you know it's taken care of. And I think that that's something that us as believers fail to realize. And that's really where our faith has to kick in, is because if God really is our shepherd, then we really have nothing to worry about because he is always going to provide and care and protect us. And so there is a certain amount of freedom that comes from knowing that.
Felicia, welcome. Thank you for signing in. We were talking about the name, The Lord is my shepherd, and I asked everybody to close your eyes and imagine being one of God's sheep. And I reread the first three sentences of Psalm 23, where it says, I am never in need. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside peaceful waters. My computer's about to die, y'all. Hold on. Sorry, y'all see me limping. Oh, Jesus. All right, well, we're just gonna turn it. Not today, Satan. Okay. So originally, when I first kind of started studying this, I connected it to how sometimes I'm so focused on something that I forget to eat or I forget to take care of myself, but God slows me down and keeps me there. Um, and that with my shepherd, I can enjoy peace. I don't have to be in a hurry because there's a never ending list of things to do, right? And I can relax. I don't, I- If I'm imagining myself as the actual animal, a sheep, and we're walking through this vast land, like I don't have anywhere that I need to be. I don't have anything on my to-do list. All I have to do is walk. All I need to do is eat what's in front of me, take everything literally step by step, and not really worry about all the things. And so that was the initial thought that I had. And earlier today, I don't know if you guys follow the my school account on Instagram. Some of you might, but the other ladies may not know. But for my daycare, I post something called Click It Nap, which is every day at nap time, I'm telling the world what we're up to during the day to give people kind of a glimpse into the classroom. And I want to share the picture that I shared. Um, how do I make this full screen? Hold on. Mm, okay, well, y'all can see it, right? Anybody? Can y'all see it?
Yes, we could see it. Yes,
Okay.
I could.
We went for a walk today. And it was because I was running late this morning. I didn't have time to walk the dog. And so I was like, come on, you guys, everybody come with me. Let's take the dog for a walk. And I was like, oh, I should get a picture of this, for nap time because this is what we did today. So I, hold the camera up and I'm like, everybody say cheese. And when I look at the picture, the Lord is like, this is what I'm talking about. And I mentioned that the same way that I'm in front of them, right? And we walk this way on purpose. So it's the dog protecting us first. So if any other animal comes out, gets loose from their gate or something, the dog is the first uh guardian that's protecting us, right? Or a car comes or something like that, because you see there's not a sidewalk in my neighborhood, right? So a lot of times we have to walk in the street. So we have the first guardian angel. We have me as a stop, right? Point before that. And even the thought process that I had to take to say, okay, these are the two assistants that are going to come with me. And then we're going to have another assistant go back, go to the store to get what we need for lunch and then come back and cook so that when we get back from this, the kids will have breakfast ready, right? And all these things that I'm thinking of in order for the day to go smoothly. And me protecting the children, right, in the formation, as well as next to them, they can walk with confidence, they can walk with peace. Just them little girls don't care that they're walking in the middle of the street. They have not a worry in the world because they're being protected. And even if not, they get past the first stop of Gucci, then they get past the second stop of me. There's still these guardian angels on either side of them, the other adults that are protecting them, right? On the sides and behind them. So no matter what, they're covered all around. And
That's
God was
good.
saying, this is what I'm doing for you. All I need you to do is be the little girl in the stroller. Be those little girls just skipping along, having a grand old time because I'm taking care of everything. I have the heavens armies set all around you. There are more for you than there are against you. And sometimes there may not be a threat, right? When I took this picture, there were no cars coming. Everybody was at work, right? So there may not be a visible threat, but if there is, you're covered. You don't have to worry about a thing, because if you can think about these kids like that, how much more am I thinking about you and caring for you,
That's good.
right? And so that random picture just completely blew my mind today in terms of this lesson. Like, I really don't need anything. And again, we had sent another one of my interns to the store, like I said, because I got the wrong thing for lunch from the menu. Um, and even where it says, he leads me in green pastures, it's because that's where the sheep needed to eat. I'm making sure that they're going to eat, that they don't need to worry about anything but sitting down and washing their hands, right? You prepare a table for me. Like, all of the imagery is just there. And if you guys,
Hmm.
were to kind of stop and think about what would it look like if you saw how protected you were on every single side, and sometimes because we don't see it, we forget that the protection is there, that the angels are encamped all around us, and that the shepherd is leading us through even the most mundane of activities or dangerous situations. Um, the next question or the next verse says, He renews my soul. So the question is, what does it mean to renew or restore my soul? And if anybody is open to sharing, describe a time where you felt that you were in need of that kind of restoration, whether you're still in need or you have overcome it.
My retreat for 2026, the theme is restoration. And one of the people we asked to speak, when we had a meeting with her, she said she was just going through. Lord was just taking stuff from her. Lord was just taking stuff from her. And she said she finally asked, Lord, what's up? Why is this happening? And she said the response she got was because how are you going to talk to people about restoration if you've never been had the need for it? Which put me in the thought of, we may be in that space often, but do we recognize that that's what we need to be restored, that we need our spirits calmed? Do we need, just we're going, we're doing, we're trying to fix, we're trying to do. And so for me, I've been seriously looking at places where I feel like maybe just go sit your butt down somewhere and just calm yourself down. Go relieve yourself of whatever that thing is. And it kind of happens a lot that, even if it's just mentally put yourself back, for me, put yourself back in a place where you don't feel so used up.
Yeah. Has anyone else been in a season of restoration or needed restoration? And what did that look like? What did that mean to you?
I can go next, Lex. I can say, um, the end of last year and pretty much the beginning of this year, um, God is restoring. I can say, not, I don't feel like I'm fully restored in my faith. Um, because I know definitely the end of last year, doubt tried to like make me give up. Like it was the end of the road because I went through so many losses. But I just stayed in my word, and I know that this too shall pass. So my faith is being restored as I do that and stay in prayer. Um, because doubt still tries to creep in, but I just have to shut it down and stay confident that, God has me through it all. So
Yeah. And remember the sheep imagery.
yeah, that was really good for sure. Because I never thought about it that way.
I hadn't either. I look at the sheep as me and not like actually being in the middle of this field. So that's been helping. Anyone else want to share your restoration? And the question is, describe a time when you felt in need of restoration.
Hmm.
I feel like, well, first of all, hi everybody. Sorry I'm late. I just saw the Instagram story late and I was like, oh, let me hop on. But I feel like I'm currently in a season where I need restoration because I am in a new space. I'm in a new season right now that I've never experienced before. And I'm finally realizing that I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. And I feel like my whole life, I always go through seasons and like I just go from season to season, obstacle to obstacle, battle to battle, storm from storm. And I never really take the time to sit back, like really and reflect and try to see. Well, I'm not gonna say I never do, but I don't intentionally sometimes like seek, okay, God, why did you just have me where I am? Like, please restore me, like, fill my cup back up. I feel like a lot of times I do pour from that empty cup and don't really take in everything that I'm supposed to get from that season so that way I'm prepared for the next one. And then I can reflect in it, even after I get through it like okay, I see why God brought me through this and those times where I'm like struggling to see where God brought me from. I can like reflect on something that happened before, but if you don't sit down and let him restore you, refresh you, renew you, sometimes when you go through things, you feel like you're starting from, you know, the stage of being an unbeliever. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're not being able to take in all that he's really like giving you, which is always intentional, you know?
And guys, Felicia is one of my baby's mamas. Her son wasn't in school today because he wasn't well, so he wasn't in this picture. But she is one of my students' moms and goes to my church. Felicia Jaslyn, Dr. Jazz, is the shepherd of this Bible study group, and she is also in your same boat. She has a newborn, and another one under two, even though Zach is almost three, but same season. So,
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, sis.
okay. So the fourth sentence, read it slowly. You're the sheep, right? So, even though I walk through the dark valley of death, because you are with me, I fear no harm. Your rod and your staff give me courage. How do you feel? I know I can speak to that one. So when I read that and I closed my eyes and imagined, right, being that sheep, I actually thought of when I'm out walking Gucci by myself and it's dusk and it's gonna be dark before I make it back to the house. And coyotes are out
Mhm.
nowadays, and there's all these ring alerts about coyotes being in the neighborhood. Um, and how I'm usually like running to hurry up and finish that walk before it gets all the way dark and I have to worry about it, right? Or in the morning because I wake up really early. Sometimes, like when it's winter, sometimes we're out walking before the sun comes all the way up. And the little bit of underlying fear that I feel in those moments was the place that I kind of put myself in there. So for this one, I actually went to Strong's and started breaking down each word, right? So when it talks about going through the dark valley, it's talking about going through this really narrow gorge, right? So in the past, I've always imagined just a valley, down at the bottom, not necessarily like this little narrow space where, me and all my sheep buddies might be like this, and now we have to, tighten up to get through this small space. And we're not sure what's on the other side of that. Just like I'm scared of coyotes, the sheep could literally be scared of them as well, right? And I feel like that's when things are getting real. That's where it feels like there's nowhere else to go. And right now, it's times when I feel like my situation is closing in on me. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have the resources or, whatever situation it is at any given time. And the valley, of course, is a place of distress or extreme danger, right? This valley of the shadow of death. But it says, because you're with me, I don't have to fear those things. So, fearing no harm means not just fearing like physical fear, but I don't have to worry about sadness. I don't have to worry about other people being unkind because sometimes somebody blowing a horn at you in traffic can be the straw that broke the camel's back. And you go in there and you cussing them out, right? Um, I don't have to fear people who are out to harm me, be it friends, family, people that are supposed to be close to me that just like some people just intentionally hurt you, right? Like I don't have to worry about that or be guarded and keep part of myself away. Like I gotta be, I gotta be safe. I gotta protect myself. I gotta protect my family. Like I don't need to worry about any of that as the world starts closing in on me. Um, and it says, your rod and your staff give me courage. And so the staff is not just, the staff that he's holding, but it literally means support of every kind. So no matter what I'm going through, his support is, exactly what I need it to be in whatever season it is, whether it's dealing with my enemies, it's providing resource, or whatever it is, like he's got me. Um,
And it brings a comfort.
it does. So anyone else? You're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. How do you feel?
Again, I think it's really that sense of freedom. And it's understanding and knowing that, like, the shadow of death, and I say this, I've said this many times, like, you can get over anything but death. Death is the only thing that you can never recuperate or recover from.
Mm,
You can get
mm.
over sickness, you can get over financial issues, you can get over health issues, you can get over breakups, you can get over arguments, you can get over anything. The only thing you can never get over is death. And so being at literally the shadow of death is like, I am at the brink of the end, but I will fear no evil because it doesn't matter, because God is still protecting me and keeping me. So it doesn't, and I've said this to you guys many times, like, it doesn't matter how bad it is for you. It doesn't matter how bad a situation is. God has always gotten you through every single thing, and he's not going to
Hmm.
stop now. And again, that is where our faith lies in, is at the shadow of death. Like, when you feel like it's it, when you feel like there's nothing else, do you truly believe that God is going to get you to the next? And that's where we need to always be, because if the enemy could get you to doubt God for 1 second, to doubt that he's going to be who he said he's going to be, then you give him power. So we always have to remain in that, even in the shadow of death, like, we fear no evil because we know that he is with us.
I think it's also interesting that if we go back to the verse before it, he says, He restores my soul. And then in this piece, he's saying, You. It's almost like how he's changed his conversation, that you are with me in the shadow of death. He's being drawn closer. He's being drawn closer to the Lord because he specifically is saying, It's you, God, versus you reading the verse before, and he restores my soul. So I thought that was interesting.
That is really good because it's in the shadow of death that you get real personal with God.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In the book, she also mentions how, again, more imagery, right, to help us through this. She talks about how the when it was time for the sheep to go to sleep at night, right? And
Mm-hmm,
there's
mm-hmm.
predators that
Mm-hmm,
are all
mm-hmm.
around, right? The shepherd will put them in this enclosure and sleep at the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, like, a predator can't get into your
Mm-mm.
sheep unless they literally walk over you and attack you. And it goes back to when you're, awake, when we're walking through this thing, you've got me, you're protecting me. When it's time to lie down and rest, you're still protecting me. Like, I don't have to worry. Um, and yeah, like Jasmine was saying, that when it looks like there's nothing else, because I got some areas where it in my life today where it feels like, you know what, this is the end of the road there. I don't know what else to do, right? Um, but believing that he's going to come for me, he is going to come through with whatever support and protection I need. And for me, that's stronger than let go and let God. Because sometimes I don't know how to let it go. I be thinking I let it go, and then I don't realize that at some point maybe I picked it back up, or I think that I haven't picked it back up, but like, no, it don't matter if you picking it up or not. Just he's with you. He's going to provide the support you need. Um,
When I was studying this, I read, I'm going to read you what I read. It says, the staff was a long, lightweight pole with a curved end, a crook, that the shepherd used to move, count, and examine the sheep at evening when they returned to the fold. The rod was a cudgel, a short, thick, heavy stick similar to what modern people might call a baton or a mace. This was worn at the shepherd's belt. So one of them, I mean, he said, thy rod and thy staff, both of them were used as weapons to protect the sheep. And David is just telling us that he's using even the gifts that he has given him as a shepherd, those things to know that he's getting full protection. If I need to beat you down with the staff, or if I have to count all my children, this picture that you still have up here, if I have to make sure the baton was the counting tool, kinda, I got 5 people behind me, 6 people behind me, and it. This is a good lesson. The picture is saying a lot of words, Lexi. It makes you think each time you ask a question.
yeah. And even one more behind the lady in the green shirt. And he was
Yeah.
the one that kept trying to hurt himself. Like as soon as we walked out the gate, he took off running to the street. Like if anybody was trying to get themselves hurt, right, was continuing to put themselves in a bad situation, it's like, you know what? I got provision even for you. Like, don't even worry about it. We gonna keep you safe, right? And so in this part, in this photo, he's covered.
He's covered.
Just like we are so many times when we're,
Yeah.
doing things that we know we shouldn't be doing, in situations we know we shouldn't be in, situations where we might have been the one, to hurt ourselves. Tam shared about her dad, right? He went out and he got a drink. Even in situations where we are in the wrong, we are still being covered.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I like
Um,
this lesson too.
so the next question is about the rod and the staff, actually, and it is how have God's rod and staff protected, guided, or corrected you, if anybody wants to share?
Mm.
And the thing that came to my mind when I read that one was the song You've Been So Faithful, right? Um, and like I can never repay you, Lord, for what you've done for me,
Mm-mm.
right? How you loose my shackles and you set me free. Like you may have gone out of your way to turn my darkness into day. Like
Mm.
just that whole song, like I listened to it on repeat for a couple days because it's like this is how your rod and your staff comforts me, protects me, guides me, um, keeps me in line.
Mm.
So a few more seconds if anybody wants to share about how you've been comforted by the Lord's discipline. Because sometimes we think discipline is a bad thing,
Uh-uh. Uh-huh.
and it's not, right? When we put our kids on punishment or when we've had to be on punishment, like it was to protect us.
And it makes me also think about um, when he gave us the Lord's Supper. So let a man examine himself. and then drink and eat from the cup. And again, that little stick from the depiction was that at the end of the day, he he would examine the sheep to make sure that no thistles or nothing harmful had happened to them during the day, and then giving us an op to examine ourselves and to make sure that it's for us. It's not for us. If you got a problem with me, if I got a problem with you, that examine myself and then justify it or rectify it with God. So I think that in the question, how has he protected and guided or corrected me? He's given me ways to do that, and do I utilize them?
Yeah. Now, the next verse is, you prepare a table for me while my enemies watch. You anoint my head with oil and my cup overflows. So, keeping in mind how the psalmist goes from he restores me to you restore me, and now to this imagery of a table. Why do you think that he introduced the idea of a table? And I didn't have an answer for this one. And all the times I've read it, I've never considered why does he switch over? So if anybody has input there, I would love to hear a perspective.
I would say no matter what you're going through, even in difficult or different environments, no matter where you are, he's still gonna prepare that table before you.
Mm. I feel like also he's going to prepare that table before you in the presence of your enemies, the presence of our enemies. There's enemies. We have enemies seen and unseen. And preparing that table before our enemies so that our enemies can see what God has done for us, what God is doing for us, because we are his sheep, because we are his sheep. And I'm preparing that table in front of your enemies, whoever that enemy might be, to see that you're God's chosen one. I chose you, and I prepared this table so that your enemy can see how good you are because of me.
Yeah. So, last question. Given our outlook, right, and how we've looked at the imagery of being a sheep and going through all of these things, how would it change your life now applying that her wording is, how would your experience of daily life change if you really believe that goodness and kindness would stay close to you all the days of your life, or that goodness and mercy will chase you all the days of your life?
Mm.
I would say
That's
there should be no question or any doubt in my mind going forward after this lesson where I should have thinking that God is not comforting me or protecting me or guiding my steps. I should know for a fact that he's going to be there with his rod and his staff to make sure that I'm going in the right direction. And even when I feel like I'm misguided, he's still there to comfort me.
that saying, God is good all the time.
I know
In the
that's
good
right.
times
Yes, in the
and
bad.
and the bad times. He's going to be with you in the valley of the shadow of death. He's going to prepare some food for you to eat in the presence of those people that think that you should be starving. I mean, God is good all the time. That's what I get.
I think it also helped me with my anger, right? Like
Hmm.
some people I feel like, let me tell you where you can go,
Hmm.
right? Um, but remembering that God still wants what's best for them, right? Um, the same way that he'll prepare a table for me in front of them. If I'm wishing them harm, then he'll prepare a table for them in front of me to show me, don't touch my anointed. They got some things to work on, but I still got them too. Um, and I can't lie, even though I've been studying this and reviewing it every single day, right? By the midpoint of the day, my prayers have gone from thank you, God, for being my shepherd to okay, you say you're my shepherd, so I need you to guide me on this topic. I need you to guide me here because your word says that you will. Right. And then I have to go back and reread it and be like, or I can just be grateful for where I'm at and stop asking him for things and trust that he is leading me to the thing. He knows much better than I do how this thing is going to end, what the next step is going to look like, where that next green pasture is going to come from. And I don't know if it's north, south, east, or west. I don't know what direction I'm going in. But he does. Like, quit asking for so much stuff, right? Almost makes me feel like my teenagers. Like, didn't I just chill? I got you. And this is daily for me. I don't know about y'all, but it's a daily renewing of my mind. And so I pray that for y'all. Hearing is your mind daily. Um, so I started going through and just looking at some other examples of shepherds in the Bible because it was such a big profession then, there are a lot of examples. And so I just wrote down a few. Um, what time is it? How much time do I have? I got a couple minutes, so I'm just gonna go through one. But it was in Ezekiel 34, and that's one of the passages that she says at the end of the chapter to read for deeper study. Um, and it reminds me that God also holds our human shepherds accountable. So our pastors, our ministers, um, and things like that. And I feel like that because there's so many like internet pastors and people that are getting really popular on social media, and so you really have to guard what you're taking in. It was refreshing to me to know that God is holding all of these human shepherds accountable as well. And I even said, Lord, reveal to me how I can be a better shepherd over the flock that you've given me. Because we all have flocks that we are in charge of, right? Maybe in our homes, in our jobs, nieces and nephews, whatever the case. Like we're supposed to be operating in God's image. So, what way can you be a better shepherd over what He is giving you? Um, In Ezekiel 34, verse 27, God promises us freedom from slavery, or He promises us breakthrough for whatever hard thing you're going through. He promises us bumper crops, right? So increase. He promises us safety from people who seek to devour us, immunity from famine, because the way the world is looking right now and the way they're trying to take everything away from us. Like he provides us immunity from famine, from insults. He promises us peace. He promises us blessings over our home and rain in due season, in the seasons that we need it in. So that again, that's Ezekiel chapter 34, and those points were verses 25 through 28. But of course, read all of 34, like Jazz says, read 33 and 35 as well to get a bigger context of the promises that he's giving us as his shepherd. I'm sorry, as him being our shepherd. So some other ones were Genesis 49. And I said, that is when Jacob is blessing each one of his sons before he dies. And I love the vision that he had of Judah when he was blessing Judah and telling him, the crown will never leave your family. And when he basically prophesied Jesus's coming way back in Genesis 49. And I was just praying for that kind of vision over my own family, right? He's not going to see any of that come to pass thousands of years in the future, but he had the vision to see, right? And so Lord, open our eyes so that we can see the goodness that will continue to come through our bloodline to, our bloodline for thousands of generations to come. And in Exodus 2, verses 15 through 19, that God is sending people to help us, people who are more advanced than we have. They have the type of influence already that we need. We just need to keep doing what we're doing and be faithful over what He has given us. Because again, we don't have to worry about nothing. And lastly, in Numbers 27, the daughters of Zelophehad, um, read the story if you guys aren't familiar with it, but them speaking up changed things. And so I don't know if there's a woman on the call that is fearing speaking up in a situation or asking for what they deserve, but your voice and everything that God has given you will change things, not just for you, but for everyone around you, right? It's going to influence everything that happens after you and after you step into that. So read Numbers 27. Um, so yeah, that is my lesson. Do you guys have any more comments, thoughts before we go into prayer requests and praise reports?
This was a good lesson, and I love the analogy of your students or your babies. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Made my thoughts go deeper into this passage. Thank you.
Going to stop.